Good afternoon and welcome along to the West Yorkshire Football Show for instant post-match reaction to Manchester City 3, Leeds United 2. I'm Stephen Brown and joining me as ever to discuss post-match our reaction. It is, of course, Jason Booker as well. Welcome along, Jason. I'm absolutely devastated as a Leeds United fan there. I feel like I've been on an emotional roller coaster this afternoon watching my team for 2 hours. It looked very, very bleak. And then all of a sudden, we had hope. And then it gets snuffed out at the end. And you're just left in a place of, do we still make a move manager-wise? Is there hope from on the back of that? And it feels like maybe we get some answers, maybe we don't get some answers. But ultimately, I'm just absolutely devastated that we've not got something from today because it started out exactly how we all thought. Leeds United conceded a goal within 59 seconds. You thought, oh my God, it's going to be a cricket score. I'll be totally honest. I thought parts of the first half were embarrassing, the way we couldn't compete with Man City. I know there's levels to the game, but I just thought it was just embarrassing. Just the lack of competitiveness. Burnley lasted 70 minutes before they conceded their first goal to Manchester City at the Etihad, and we just seem to kind of be rolling over. And at half time, Jay, I was about to drop you a message actually and go, when do you think they're going to bullet Farke? Do you think it'll be straight after, or do you think it'll be later tonight? And then all of a sudden, half time, I'm seeing Bijol coming on. And I'm thinking, oh, which centre back is he subbing off? Bit weird. And then Struijk and Rodon are still jogging on the pitch. And then all of a sudden, you realise it's going to be 3 at the back. Wing backs and 2 up top, and you okay, and then we get back into the game and we look on it. We're fighting for everything. We're creating chances. We're putting pressure on City, and we get back to 2-2. But it's football and it's cruel, and we suffer heartbreak at the end. And I don't know. I'm just left kind of thinking. Again, watching this football team, I don't know how we've not at least got a point from today, except we've played one of the best teams in the league. A team that I was worried about, they were going to break some kind of record today. I thought, oh my God, we might see the first double figures in the Premier League. Your mind goes to daft places, doesn't it? The way we've been playing and what's been happening away from home. So I'm all over the shop. I don't know. But I'm just devastated for the players. I can't imagine how that feels. We're going to get into everything. I'm sorry, it's a very rambling start. It's a very rambling start. My apologies. Thank you for your comments already. I can see them coming in. Get those in. Get your likes on the video. Get subscribed to the channel. Jay, I'll bring you into it, mate. What can you say? How are you feeling? It's a cruel game. It's a cruel game.
Yeah. I'm sat here a little bit like trying to process and make sense of my own kind of feelings to it, because there was so much to kind of take out of that game, both positively and negatively. The 3-5-2 or the 5-3-2, however you kind of want to brandish it, has been something that we've spoken about for 2 years. It kind of got mentioned in the Championship. It's certainly been mentioned a lot in the Premier League. The reality of actually playing it changes the scenario and the situation, and you're going to see that isn't now just the remedy to make this all better. I don't think, but I think it's got some credence. There is plenty that you have to. The facts are, if we play 3-5-2 or 5-3-2 for a few weeks, we're then going to start saying, well, actually, now we can't get the wingers in the team and we can't do this. There's going to be other things that then come up and we'll want something else on the back of it. So, but that said, it worked today. And I'm actually left with more questions than answers on the back of it, because I said to you at half time, and you can testify to this, so that those that think that I'm just the Farke fanboy will know that's not the case. I said to you, that's the move. He's gone. Like his mind's gone. He's gone to that kind of bad place in that he's then acting desperate. And I still think it was a desperate kind of turn.
100%.
If that was what was going to be right in this game, why didn't we start with it? It makes no sense to me. We were all discussing it beforehand. It made sense, given the fact that we arguably, we know we're going to be under the cosh a little bit. We need to be a bit more resolute in the defensive areas. We've got an out-and-out issue with teams getting to the byline in between the left back and the centre back. Put another centre back there. We wouldn't have conceded that first goal because Pascal would have been in direct line with where that ball was played. Yeah, it kind of sorts out them channels. It sorts that problem out. We've got a creativity issue within this squad. The wingers are not good enough. The creative outlets in this team are not good enough, including Noah Okafor, who I thought, again, was probably not even worth bringing on today, but I know he didn't have one anyway. So make us more direct and make us more narrow. And what happened in the second half was we found that we were able to go from back to front much quicker because we didn't have the choice to build the play up in them areas in the same way.
Yeah.
So, it made sense. So I then questioned Daniel Farke more than I actually give him praise about the change, because it just felt like a reaction to a desperate position. Biol looked really comfortable. There was some. Sorry, I will stop myself.
No.
Let you talk. There were some really good things to take from this game as well. We kept Jeremy Doku extremely quiet. We kept Haaland non-existent. I thought Haaland were going to punch us a new bumhole. That's the term that I put. I thought it was going to absolutely rip us apart today. He was absolutely anonymous. Anonymous.
How many touches did he have? I mean, it must.
Yeah,
have
been, I mean,
if it were 10, I'd be amazed.
That's testament to Rodon and Pascal and then Biol when he came on in the second half. And the game gets taken away from us by the quality of a Phil Foden. It does. But there's more to kind of digest and put into what happened the rest of the game, wasn't there really? Yeah. I'm stuck. If I'm honest.
I think I'm getting a bit of echo back on yours. I don't know if you can hear that. But if anybody wants a testament to Jay being kind of balanced and fair in his opinions, I think this is it, because you just saying that about the changes, I've got to admit, it's a bit of a light bulb for me, because I agree wholeheartedly. When you look at it, you go, well, why couldn't you work that out from the start? Why did it take a horrendous half of football where we could have literally been 6-0 down?
Yeah.
And now there's a fascinating thing that Jay's mentioned before, where we've talked about, when people have come in the chat and said, why aren't we doing this formation? Why aren't we changing this? And Jay quite rightly said, most top managers stick to formation A, and they don't really deviate, maybe little tweaks here and there, but essentially they don't go for a big shift in formation. But when a manager does that, when they're struggling, it tells you something. It tells you that they're at the casino, they've had a lot of losses, and they're betting everything on black. They're just going, right, fucking put it on black, and we'll see if I can win all my money back.
Yeah.
And at halftime, Jay said that's the thing that he'd been waiting for. You've been waiting for with Farke, to see if he does that. And I agreed completely. I thought, wow, for Farke to do that, knowing what Farke's like, to actually change it, I just thought, wow. I mean, this is the Hail Mary. This is the last chance saloon. This is him knowing he's getting fired at 5 o'clock if this doesn't work out. But then it worked. But and that was the bit that caught me off by surprise. I was like, suddenly things made sense. Suddenly, Bijol looks really accomplished, and suddenly you got protection. The wing backs, we know how good our wing backs are, and you felt confident because suddenly you're going, well, Gabby can come on for James Justin, and we know he's going to be effective, and he ain't got the same defensive responsibility as much. You've got Noah Okafor, who's played a lot as a second striker. Piru suddenly can be an option. Suddenly you're looking at it going, oh my God, this makes so much more sense, because you bang on. The weakest part of our team is the wingers. I mean, I'm sorry, and I know people want to gas non-to-up, but it's his fault for the first goal today. He doesn't watch his runner. I'm sorry. You've got to be switched on from the start. I mean, Jay, how embarrassing is it that we've all talked about the left side? It's where we've conceded 8 goals or something stupid, and it happens within the first minute of the game. And non-to-up fault for it.
I mean, Nonto was all over the place. I thought Nonto had an awful first half. Well, he really on for the first half. I thought he had an awful game because all he did was put us under pressure, gave the ball away at the wrong times, didn't use his body effectively, wasn't clever, didn't track his man defensively, wasn't really at it. And then I thought Justin was less culpable. I mean, if it wasn't for Justin, we end up more than one behind because he makes a fantastic block. About 10 minutes in, I think it is. Again, I'm gonna actually go on the side of bashing Daniel Farke with this one. His answer to sorting out the left hand side was to make 2 changes rather than to tactically sort it out. Now there is an element of both attached to this, but when it keeps happening, when the players have changed, you then have to look at the manager. But you also then just have to say, well, all 4 of them are just not good enough. You know what I mean? So there is some devil's advocate again with it. There's a bit of fence sitting involved. I don't think Noah Rocaford had been the solution today either, by the way. I didn't mind that change at all. I thought it was so poor at the weekend. He deserved to be dropped today.
100%. Right.
And yeah, I thought Justin was absolutely fine in that area of the pitch defensively until he takes a knock. But then we could ask that question again, couldn't we? You know, why are we spending 10 million quid on a backup left back that's now injured again? So anyway, I don't really want to talk about recruitment today. I'm sick of talking about it. But yeah, mate, it is embarrassing. It's very, very frustrating. It's left me with so many questions. The whole game has left me with so many questions because the reality of that second half is that them players are still really, really playing for Daniel Farke. They are. Nobody can argue with me. And I would much rather than be behind a manager that they want to give it all for, that is still capable of showing us that in the second half. You know, to come back from 2-0 down away at City with the way that they played and dominated that first half is no shortcoming. That is some serious.
Well, testament to this, Jay, is Gav. We always appreciate comments, mate. We love how engaged you are with the channel. Really appreciate it. But let's call it, you've been asking for Farke to go for a long time, and generally speaking, you're not behind Farke. But you're saying start the same 11 next week, same formation. Let's see what happens. It's our only option. And I think that second half performance that's gonna be the argument now, isn't it? But then the other question I asked, Jay, is we've been pretty good at home so far. But the problem is we're losing games. You know, whatever he's doing, we're losing games. And, you know, it's obviously it's an exceptional opponent today. But they had lost. They were on the back of not a great run themselves. They've lost the last 2. So there's question marks there. They're not the Man City or the treble winning Man City. There's frailties there. They're not perfect. So, you know, there's a lot to kind of ask there. And I think you're right. I think it probably does pose question. And I think if you're a new manager waiting in the wings to take over Leeds United, I think you go 3-5-2 straight away, or 5-3-2, whatever you want to call it. You straight away just go, yeah. that is the blueprint for coming in if you're taking this job, isn't it? You know, and that's it.
It is, but there's also some big question marks with the 5-3-2 as well, because we've not got a squad built to play that. I know we've got some players that fit better into it, like we saw with Biol as an example. But if you then, you could play Okafor as a second striker, fine, right? I still think that's loose. He's not really played there that much. He's played there a bit for Milan. He's a winger. Nonto is an out-and-out winger. James is an out-and-out winger. Yeah, so like, what do you then do with them when you consider the fact that they are probably, quote-unquote, some of our most creative players? You know, it worked in a set of specific examples today when we were pretty clinical with the chances that we got as well. We were much better second half. We controlled the game much better. We controlled the ball much better, which is what I really liked. The thing is with Farke's tactics, having the 2 banks of 3 actually makes far more sense because we like to keep the ball. We like to retain the ball. My concern with it is that what you're going to do when you then release it into that second half of the pitch. Because outside of just lumping it to Calvert-Lewin and hoping that it kind of bounces for you, you ain't got a lot with it. You know, you're relying on Bogle and Gabby to kind of get in and amongst it in that area of the pitch. We haven't got anybody creative in the midfield that's going to be that kind of gap in between. So I like it, and I've called for it, but I worry that it won't be the solution that everybody just thinks it now is. But it's going to be what's called for.
Well, I know what you mean, and I think the danger is, and I'm fully aware of the emotional rollercoaster of what I've said, and I think if Gavin's saying give it another go with Farke, I think that says him. That probably sums up like even the most ardent Farke out is probably after that giving Farke some props. But I mean, I think you bang on to question it, because I would be really concerned, going forward with it. I mean, is that what Farke wants to do? Does Farke really want to have two lumps up front and just boot the ball up to him? He doesn't, does he really? He wants to pass it through people. But I'm sorry, Jay, you're not going to pass it through. You're not going to pass it through Premier League teams. I thought the point of getting all these 6 foot plus players and everything was we were going to lump it up and be physical. You can't have it both ways. You can't be, oh, right, okay, so we're going to recruit lumps, but then we're still going to try and play through team. Well, good luck. Let's see how that worked the first half today. We were god awful the first half.
Yeah.
We're not good enough to do that.
You can't play that way with the likes of Gruev in the midfield. You just can't. He's so limited. And Ampadu I thought was all right today, but Tanaka Tanaka had some nice moments today, but he's responsible for the third goal. Again, we've seen that pass before.
Why did he do that? Why did he do that?
It was the same as the Bournemouth goal. Exactly the same as that second Bournemouth goal. I think it was the second Bournemouth goal. And this is why he doesn't have the full trust of the manager, because he's capable of them moments. And I know there's a lot of football after the Tanaka pass in this one today. There's maybe another, 10, 15 passes, but the facts are it sets the tone. It does. It puts us under so much pressure, and that's when then less talented players get caught ball watching, moving out of position. Not, when it turns over quickly, it causes you massive problems. So the facts are is for a large part, for all of the second half, we bridged the gap again in the terms of the quality, which tells me that the manager hasn't lost the dressing room. He's far from lost the dressing room, if I'm honest. Now, whether he's good enough or not, just because he hasn't lost the dressing room, is a different question. I get it. But I still think on the back of seeing that today, you're going to struggle to get a manager in that is capable of tactically being this genius that you all think that they're going to be, to perform better than what we've seen today, even though we still fell short. Do you get what I'm saying? Like the quality is just such a difference, and we actually bridged that gap again today, and unfortunately we just fell short again. Yeah. But we do have to talk about this first half. Like I can't ignore it, and I won't ignore it. I will call it for what it is. Like the first half is a real problem, and like I say, making the change in the way that he did at halftime worries me as much as it complements what Farke did.
Yeah, and do you know what is always a little bit of a giveaway? I know Farke's quite chill when we score anyway. He never kind of jumps around for joy, but it's almost like, when you're on Football Manager and you're losing, you just go, oh, sod it, I'll just do something wacky. And but then it works, but you kind of don't celebrate it. You kind of just like, oh, okay. And you kind of keep one eye on it. You're like, oh, it's actually bloody work. But you don't celebrate it because you're almost like, oh, right, well, I would just like throwing everything to the wall and seeing what stuck. And I got that vibe from it, watching Farke, that second goal goes in, he's almost like, oh, right, okay, right. Let's see where we can go from here. Because for him, I mean, I have sympathy with him, because he must have been up and down and all over the place. He's probably thinking I'm getting sacked at halftime, and I mean, it would be fascinating because and this was proved wrong ultimately. But I was like, God, what is someone like Dan James thinking in that changing room where it's like you were the main man for 2 years in the Championship, and everybody's been hyping you up coming back. You didn't have an awful first half, but it was just a simple case of we're struggling to even get the ball up the pitch to you. And then you're off, you're subbed, your first start in weeks and months, and you're subbed at halftime. But it's not the fact that, he's not a 21-year-old, a 22-year-old, he's 27, 28. He's an international player for Wales, he's established, and you're getting hooked at halftime. Now, obviously, he had to be hooked because, again, alludes to what you said about the formation causes problems with the squad, because we've got but pretty much wingers we don't need if we're going to play that. And he's one of them. So I was thinking, God, this could be like mutiny. You know, what if the other Welsh boys throw it in and all this? But then everybody turns up and puts a shift in that second half. Again, it's another one of them where you're just looking at it, scratching your head, going, I don't know where the chips fall here. I really don't.
You've got another issue in the centre of midfield as well.
Yeah.
Like, especially at the minute with the injuries that we've got, you know, Stack and Longstaff are out. You're then relying on all three midfielders to play a very distinct role within a system. I just don't know. I don't know how that would fall. You would have to look to start playing Brendan in a midfield three. You'd have to. We wouldn't have the capabilities of getting up and down in the way that a midfield three would need to in a 5-3-2. You know, the front two desperately need support in and around them quickly. You know, so yeah, I like I said, I feel my head about to explode tonight. I watched the whole. I mean, I'd not even sat down. The game was on. I'd not even sat down when the goal went in, and I was kind of like, well, it's kind of what we expected. Half time, I just expected us to cruise to a 4-0 loss, and then we were going to be looking whether Barca were leaving tonight or not. And then we've seen what we've seen, and I'm just frustrated because again, I back Daniel Farke. But I know he's stubborn. If he's capable of making that change and he's been thinking about it, why wasn't he brave enough to go with that from the offset? Like, it just makes no sense, and it's annoyed me more than anything. I'd rather have him died on his sword in the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3 in a weird way. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's
well,
just
when a manager does a change of formation, I mean. And a big shift. It's not, you know, a little tweak. It's a massive, you know, he's never played that with us. And, you know, Bijol, Rodon and Stroik being on the pitch together was like, what is going on here?
And Metcher and Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah. And, you know, no wingers. You're looking at it going, I mean, it's desperation at that point, isn't it? But the problem it poses now, Jay, is where do you go from here? Where does he go from here? Does he go back to his tried and tested formation where we're losing game after game after game? Or do you give this a go going forward? And it almost feels like, you know, you want your club and your manager to have everything so prepared and planned that things can't just be decided on a whim, because that smacks of like not being quite up to it. You know, it smacks of not being prepared properly. But I mean, it's going to be fascinating going into the midweek Chelsea game. But I mean, yeah, I get you. I think it does ask more questions than it answers.
I agree. I agree. I'm literally sat, kind of scratching my head. I'm
scrambled out with it. We're scrambled.
I am a little bit scrambled with it, mate, because I now have we kind of fallen across a solution that could potentially see this team under Farke playing better. And I've been pretty praising of what we've seen so far. Again, the first half fell in line with the Forest and the Brighton games. The City game, the second half was probably the best we've played away from home all season. We win the game 2-1 in the second half.
Yeah,
that matters. It does matter. Like, I know it doesn't matter on the board, but in terms of the contextualizing this game and analyzing the game, it matters. So, what do we do from here? Like, that's the question. My concern is this, right? We go into Wednesday night at home to Chelsea and we play the 5-3-2 and we get absolutely smashed because it's different in the setting when you're 2-0 down with the players with nothing to lose playing a system that you've never played than it is going into the game against Chelsea at home when we've played a certain style for 3 years and then we turn up and we play 5-3-2. It's very, very different. And I'm hoping wrong. I hope we turn up on Wednesday, play 5-3-2 and win 3-0. Cool. But the likelihood is it's not going to play out like that.
No.
That's my gut feeling.
No, that's the thing in it. And as well, I mean, you know, it's you know, I heard pundits talk about the season. You know, you've almost got to have two kind of setups, one for home, one for away.
I agree with that.
I think we've seen that a bit, haven't we? You know, the way we handle away games is bloody awful most of this season so far. barring, the Wolves away and the second half of this game, we've been bloody awful away from home. We've not coped at all. And if a formation change can help us out on that front, why not do it? But I take your point. I just think, if we suddenly do it at home, and then it doesn't work, then that's put in the bin. And I think it asks questions about Farker and where he sees us tactically and what he wants to achieve with us now. Because, I think it's going to ask big questions about what we're doing. I'm fascinated. I keep checking to see if there's any post-match comments because I want to know about what that halftime was. It's another loss, Jay, bottom line. It's another loss. I don't feel confident of us winning a game of football at the minute. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm going into games, whether it's Man City or not, just feeling like we're not going to win that game. In terms of a change, do you know what it is in football? I almost like it when it's more definitive. If we'd have gone out there and lost 5-0 and you go, right, sack Parker, let's give someone else a go. Instead of spirited second half, come back, narrowly lost, because you're kind of losing both ways and you've lost the points. You're still in the relegation zone. It's still bad, but there's a kind of let's keep on going because you never know. We've found suddenly a new formation that might figure everything out. It's like I hate it when it's non-definitive. You know what I mean? A win is definitive. A heavy loss is definitive. This feels almost like middle ground where it's like, well, what is the right decision here?
I do hear you. I also think that is just as a bit of a signal of where football is in the way that we approach stuff as fans. Like if there were a transfer window for managers and you couldn't sack a manager outside of January, you'd be saying, right, okay, we need to try and find a solution because these games are coming regardless. We haven't got this kind of perfect solution that everybody thinks it is, sack the manager and it all gets better. Yeah, so like you would be then looking at potential other formations, yeah, because you know that January 1st coming, you're thinking, shit, I'm going to lose my job, right? So I see both sides. I see both sides of it. I definitely think that the second half saves his job for now. Yeah. I don't think the 49ers will make a decision on the back of that. I would be very surprised if they do. I also don't buy this. He needed to get 4 points. He needed to get this. I think it's just talk. I think it's just something that's out there in the media and people have ran with it as facts. I don't think that is anything that's actually being said. I think if we were to beat Chelsea on Wednesday and then lose to Liverpool or the other way around, I think he'd still probably be in charge. Unless we get spanked by Chelsea. I think it's very much a game by game time, and when Ellen Road turns, I think they will very much react with the way that the crowd kind of feels, and it'll be interesting to know how Wednesday goes down on the back of today. It'll probably have a lot to do with what the team looks like. If we do come out 5-3-2, I think a lot of fans in Ellen Road would be like, yeah, we've sorted it all out. We're going to sort this out because we did really well in the second half against City. And hopefully that'd be enough to drive the team on to get the points. Because I've made my point real clear about that. I think that's half of the battle that we're dealing with at the minute is us being offside and at each other's throats about the way that the club is. We're not helping the situation out as a mass. So, yeah, I can't even remember what your point was, but
if you're Parag tonight, you're not pulling that trigger. You're saying no, keep going and let's see what we get in what is going to be a difficult week. But I agree with you. There's points to be won in these next two games. It's not a free hit.
No, it's not.
Liverpool at home, like we can't do anything. We're so pathetic. No. There's points to be won. It's at Ellen Road. It's at home. Like no, don't roll over.
I'm going into both games wanting us to win both games. I genuinely am.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're on bad form. We're on obviously a really bad run, which includes quite a few defeats away from home. But we've lost to Villa in and amongst that. To stay up, my goal is still to finish 17th. We're gonna have to pick up points against teams at home that we maybe shouldn't on paper be beating. So. And these Chelsea are hit and miss, and Liverpool are certainly all over the place. I mean, Liverpool right now are in awful form. See how they go is it tonight or tomorrow against West Ham? Yeah. So yeah, I completely agree. They're not free hits.
No, in terms of where you go and who you're picking, I mean, that's going to be a minefield now, isn't it, with this 3-5-2 getting dropped in there. Let's pull it back then. Let's have a look at some of the performances and the game as a whole. I mean, the goalkeeper, Perry, I would say with Perry, he is a very good shot stopper. He pulls off some unbelievable saves that look really good as well. There was that one in the second half where he kind of sees it late, but manages to jab his foot at it. And I thought that was going in, and he managed to kind of get his foot under it. But there's a couple of times where there was one moment, and we're passing it around the back, and it gives an absolute nightmare of a ball to, I think it were Rodon or Ampadu or something. And it put us under pressure. And a few of his kicks and just the decision making sometimes, where are you at with Perry at the minute?
I'm going to slightly disagree with you a little bit today. I know the pass that you're talking about to Rodon, there was one that was really bad, kind of put him towards the corner flag. Yeah. But then there were another one where Rodon asked him for it, and Perry should have just gone long, and he still passed it to Rodon. And I think it were a bit of both of them, but the keeper should be decisive and make that decision based on the risk factors that are around him. But I actually thought he had a good game today. I'll be honest with you, I did. I thought he pulled off some really top saves. He should do better, I think, in the goal, the second goal. Bernardo Silva's there to do that job, though. And, we've not really kind of analysed this because the way that the first half was so one-sided. That second goal were an absolute disgrace, in my opinion, from an officiating point of view. Bernardo Silva's clearly offside, and he's clearly there to obstruct the goalkeeper getting out. So how can you say he's not interfered with play? He's interfered with play by being in the way of the goalkeeper. It's as simple as that. It's an absolute nonsense decision. But he should do better, because he should just wrestle him out of the way and go and make the punch if he's going to make the punch.
Well, there's a reason why it took him 3 minutes to decide that, 3-4 minutes, because they were watching it. They knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah. You're absolutely bang on. He's interfering with the play. End of. He pulls the goalkeeper, gets in the goalkeeper's way.
Yeah. If that's the other way around, I believe Man City get that decision. If Leeds score that goal at the Etihad, I believe they get that decision in their favour. But then Perry, he makes a massive save from Foden, which was before that corner. Great save, tips it over the bar. There were others as well. There were another really top save that he makes. I think it was in the second half when he gets down to it really well. I actually thought he had a good game today. I do. I don't think he did much wrong. I thought most of his distribution was okay. He's just not. He's not been that match winner that I spoke about in pre-season either. And he probably shouldn't say the third one as an example, but does Nick Pope of Burnley in 2018 say that? He maybe does and gets a point over the line. So he's just not elite, but he's better than the other two. He is. People are kind of starting to rewrite history a little bit now, and people have been saying that they're wanting Darlow in this week, and Melier is even better. That's a nonsense. It's a waffle. He needs to acclimatise and needs to settle in. Sure, we're still only 12 or 13 games or whatever it is into this season. He
didn't play, did he, for about 5 or 6?
Yeah, he missed 4 games, I think, didn't he? So
yeah. And I think when you're a team like we are, though, I think you do need a bit of a absolute worldie in net to kind of pull that. I mean, that's one of the big things, loath to mention them, but Sunderland, their keeper is the highest performing goalkeeper in the league. He's made more saves when he was expected not to than he should have, and that kind of overperformance, I mean, it's underlining Sunderland's progress as well. Again, today they've come back and won. I don't know, it was Brentford or someone.
They were 2-0 down. 2-0 down at Bournemouth.
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy, but their goalkeepers keeping them in and doing unbelievable things. The opening goal, Jay. I mean, this left-hand side thing. I mean, you think about personnel. Gabby gets dropped. He's probably scratching his head a little bit at that. But, we've talked about a lot of goals have come down that side. Okafor, who, defensively is poor anyway. He gets dropped as well. But it didn't make a difference. It didn't make a difference. And, we've touched on a little bit about how maybe the 3 and the 3 would help in that kind of area. But how frustrating to watch that goal again happen down that side. What I don't understand is, with Nonto especially, is how you're not switched on. How are you not switched on? Like, how are you not switched on from that? The first second that whistle goes, how are you not switched on to that after we've conceded so many goals down that side? I find it mind-boggling how that's not the number one issue that they're talking about in the dress. Right, don't watch the runners down that side. Don't let them cut it back. How have we let that happen again?
I mean, Farker must have been absolutely losing his mind with the way that we conceded that goal. And I mean, for anybody to think that we're not sat in training talking about it is a bit of a madness. I'm contradicting myself a little bit because it happens with two different players. But the reality of the matter is that the quality that of them as players to be switched on from the first second is just lower.
But it's not technical ability. It's like concentration. It's
because in a Leeds player's head, they've obviously taken the instructions in the dressing room, but they're working their way into the game. In that first 30, 40, 50, 60 seconds. Whereas Man City, boom, no, they're on it. They're ready to go. They're ready to win this game. It was a massive game for them today, by the way. For City. I mean, look at the reaction of when, scoring a 92nd minute winner. That was a huge, huge game for them. They couldn't have dropped points today in terms of the title race. It's for them, it's keeping them in with a shout, innit? So, yeah, but it is madly frustrating for us as Leeds fans. But again, then do we see the second half that we see it in the way that we do if we don't have the first half that we do? And that is the question that will be labelled at the door of Daniel Farker.
Yeah. I don't know. It's scrambled my head because at half time I was like, yeah, Farker needs to go. Not out of Farker hate or anything like that, but just simply thinking that it was done with him. But now I sit at full time and it's like, oh, is there life left? Is there life if there's something there that can be got out of this? Let's bring in some of your comments then. Arthur, I don't think we've seen you on the channel for a while, mate. Welcome back. There we go. Everyone moaning about players not playing, i.e. Nonto James were poor today.
I mean, he's right. I mean, I think it's harsh to be too brutal given the level of the performance of the whole team and whatnot. But he's right. I mean, me and you, Browney, have been saying this all season about Nonto. He's not the answer that people want to make out that he is. But because he's not in the team, everybody says that he is what he is, and he's not. I like him. He's an all right squad player for a bottom 3 Premier League side, top 6 Championship side. That's the reality. I'm sorry, that's the facts. And Dan James, you could argue Dan James is the same. I thought he had a couple of flirty moments in the first half where they were clearly trying to get the ball to him and let him have a go at O'Reilly and Gvardiol down that side, and he did get away on a couple of occasions, but we're clutching at straws as to whether it was anything of note.
His speed doesn't make as much a difference at this level. Like he doesn't just seem to burn past people as much. It feels like you go up against Callum O'Reilly. It's like he's basically as quick as you.
Well, the quicker, the stronger. They've got more game awareness. They're giving that extra yard. They're already on the turn before Dan James has even thought about moving. Whereas in the Championship, they're seeing Dan James turn and then reacting. In the Premier League, they don't do that. So that's why the level difference is what it is. His stats in terms of his physical attributes of running quickly is insane. But everything else that kind of comes around it that makes a difference to the Premier League is lacking. We know what the situation is with Dan James. It's getting him into an area where he will be more effective on more regular occasions. But, if you're going down the 3-5-2 route or the 5-3-2 route, you are not going to see Dan James and Willie Nonto. You're not. How do you fit them two in? It's impossible. It's
100% not win backs.
No.
They're there. And they're not strikers.
My Oliver said, maybe play Okafor left wing back. I said, are you mental? Like, I was like, no, you're talking, like, you're talking shit. Like you can't play Okafor left.
You're like, no.
Yeah. You were literally left, I think, with Metcher, Calvert-Lewin and Pirro as being really the only viable options in that area. You can probably play Okafor as a second striker, but I don't see I don't see him starting games there. I see him maybe influencing it off the bench.
No.
You then
He's
don't
not good
see.
off the ball. He's not good
No, he's
enough
not.
off the ball.
No, he doesn't do all the horrible stuff that Metcher and Calvert-Lewin will do. I mean, Calvert-Lewin today, by the way, I thought was brilliant when he came on. He was brilliant. Second balls, winning, just putting himself about. I mean, the penalty. What on earth is Gvardiol doing? I mean, it's a stone wall. How he's even trying to protest that is beyond my tiny brain. I thought it was excellent. And I thought even the touch, I know it was heavy, turn touch, but I thought even that was quite smart. I know it went out of his kind of reach, but the idea of it was nice. And the fact that he still followed it up, he still went in with it. So yeah, there was some nice bits, but yeah, you're not going to see the wingers.
But by the way, Tanaka though on the follow up, how's he not just scored that? I were raging because my first thought was we're going to miss the penalty, or they're going to find a way not to award the penalty.
Yeah. Oh, it was a shocker.
What are you doing?
It was a shocker, wasn't it?
I was fuming. It was like, it's right there. Oh my God, honestly.
I like Tanaka, but he's got some serious deficiencies in the Premier League. He has.
Yeah, I thought he had some good moments today. I really did, but that pass, and it's just little things like that. You're going, yeah, probably why you've not started when the rest are fit, to be honest. But I do like him. I think he does. It feels what he feels with Tanaka a little bit is like he does have the level within him, but there's just no kind of consistency at keeping up that level at this level. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's got it in his locker, but he just can't produce it kind of, all the time.
I think what we see from him is the same as what we see with Stack. I don't think he's got the mental decision-making stuff yet that he might develop to make him a Premier League player. I think technically, they're both good footballers. Obviously, they're good footballers. I think they've got the technical ability to be able to adapt to playing Premier League football. Tanaka gets caught with bad decision-making a lot. I mean, we spoke about the third goal. That pass makes no logical sense. None. Zero. It's exactly the same as what happened against Bournemouth at home earlier on this season and concede. Just play it down the byline and try and win a throw-in or give them the ball back, but 60 yards up the pitch, not in a dangerous area in the centre of the pitch in the 92nd minute. Yeah, that is what is key to these players that are capable of reaching Premier League level. And we spoke about this before, but that's why the likes of Lee Cattermole and Jordan Henderson's a good example of this. They're technically not great gifted footballers. They're good enough technically to get by, but up here they are levels above what's going on around them, and they can adapt their technical game because they've got it in here. Them two players that I've just mentioned are the other way around.
Yeah.
And it gets caught out more often. It doesn't matter how technically good you are. If you make the wrong decisions at the wrong times, it costs you games.
Yeah, no, that's the nail on the head. I mean, one of my favourite players of all time, David Batty, was exactly that. It was exactly like the right decision again and again and again at the top level. It was, no messing up. I mean, that from Tanaka today it's abysmal. Got to learn fast. Can't do that. Because
the best teams in the division will punish you, and that's exactly what happened.
I've got to say though, where the hell did the 10 minutes come from, Jay? Where did those 10 minutes come from? I can't.
Yeah,
10 minutes.
I 6 or 7. 6 or 7. Yeah,
10.
6 or 7. I think we're right.
10 minutes.
6 or 7. I think we're about right because Donnarumma were down for a bit. There were a lot of time waiting in the penalty build-up as well. There's been 2 goals. Celebrations for them as well. Then there's been a hatful of substitutions. I think 7 would have been probably about right. And if they'd have scored in the 98th minute, I'd have been spewing. But I can't lie, I'm not going to be angry about that because they scored in the 91st minute. I know everybody wants to be mad about it, and I get it. It does feel a little bit.
But don't you think the other players think, oh God, they've got another 10 minutes?
Yeah, maybe.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Let's get to some other comments here then. Enzio, thanks for your comment, mate. It's a funny situation. I don't think there is anyone out there realistically available who could do better than Daniel Farke. But I also feel Daniel Farke could do better with the squad formations, etc. himself. Yeah, I mean, today is not going to help that, is it? Because it's a bit all over the place. Sporting Journey, what message will pulling Nonto and James at half-time do to their confidence? And does this hurt Leeds long-term? So there's two things that I want to say with that. A, does it matter? If we end up going 3-5-2 anyway, we might not need him. And two, I mean, in January, do you look to offload one of them anyway to see if you can do something else?
Yeah, I agree with you on both points. And I also think, well, the mass majority of the fan base have been saying, you should be making 45-minute subs. You should be making subs earlier. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. You know, Marcelo Bielsa would make a sub after 20 minutes if he needed to. And then you can't then play the opposite and be like, well, what does it do to his confidence because he's feeling a bit delicate about being pulled off? Like, what?
Yeah.
You know, is it great man management that Daniel Farke's not been doing that before? And he's been thinking about exactly what you've just been saying, or should he have been doing that? I'm not having a go at you, by the way, Sporting Journey.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the fan base are great at doing exactly that, and it's not fair, really, is it? Again, well, being a football manager is probably not fair unless you're one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the country, because every other fan base, I'm sure, do this to their managers as well. I'm sure they do.
John getting in touch. Do you think Farke will use 3 centre-backs against Chelsea or go back to the standard formation? I mean, that's going to be fascinating to see, isn't it, Jay? What does your gut say that he's going to do there? Because we can't rotate that midfield either. We can't, you know. I mean, the midfield.
Ampadu didn't get booked today, did he?
Who didn't? Sorry.
Ampadu didn't get booked today, did he?
Don't think so. No.
Because he's 1 yellow card away from a suspension, so he would have been out if he did. I literally think you could flip a coin. I think there's a chance that he might. But I also think that there's a world in which he will say, well, we've been good at home, playing the system. How do I get Okafor and Dan James into a team in which I can hurt the opposition in a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2? I can't. So I'll probably revert back. If it were me and I was sat in Daniel Farke's shoes tonight, my gut instinct, I would probably go for the 5-3-2. Because I think it would get the fans behind the situation come Wednesday night. And I think it matters. I think that really matters. I think if they came and saw Biol, Struijk and Rodon in the team straight away with 2 strikers, I think instantly the fan base would be like, right, we're going to have a go at it. And Ellen Road will just be a bit vociferous, and hopefully we can score early in it. You know, then you can dictate. And the thing is as well, that the Farke style of play tactically suits the formation. It really does, because it suits slow build-up, intricate passing, keeping the ball, you know, suffocating the opposition with our own possession. It allows that to happen. You know, I think you do get some of your better players in the team in it as well. I think Biol's got the capability of being a real player for us. But I do now, seeing it and hearing the stuff from the international stuff, I think he needs to be in about 3.
Yeah.
So, you know, Bogle and Goodmunson could probably express themselves fully in that formation. You're really relying on them, by the way. Their fitness levels are going to have to be through the roof. You ask anybody that's played wing back, it is without a doubt the most difficult position to play when you're playing with no winger in front of you. And there is another problem to this as well. I know I'm talking a lot in a row here, but you saw situations where Calvert-Lewin was at right back because of the 5-3-2, because he was having to come so far back to try and help Bogle out that you then don't have the outlet.
Yeah.
You know, so you do have other issues that come with it. But to kind of get to your point, if you're asking me the question of which he should do based on everything, I probably would say go for it.
Yeah. Do you know, I feel I want to come to Daniel Farke's comments as well, because we've got some post-match, but just kind of listening to what you said about it and everything, I kind of feel like we should bullet him. I just feel like we should bullet him. I feel like I'm kind of scared that maybe it's a bit of a mirage, that second half. The fact that he's kind of desperation has caused him to go to that formation, and it's kind of clicked a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot. and we've got back into it, and it's going to this is going to drag on. I don't know. It might be harsh. I don't know. Should we be as convinced by it as what maybe the initial reaction is?
I don't think you're far off. I don't think you're far off reality. And I'm not going to go back on what I said before the Villa game, because I said, when managers start doing this kind of thing, it starts to show a sign. I said it at half-time, and I know it has worked, but I kind of lean more in the direction of what you're saying. I think it's more worrying of the manager than it is. Unless, right up until, and we don't know this, but in training all week, they've been working on systems and they've been working ball situations. And, he's just thought, no, you know what? I'm going to go with a 4-2-3-1 because this. He's far more educated in football than I am. And then he saw the first half and been like, I should have done the other one. I made a mistake.
Yeah.
If that's the route to get to this, I could, but we'll never know that. And, I still will always be reluctant to smash him to bits because the player quality is just such a void. There's such a difference between the two teams today. And they didn't look it. In the first half they did, but in the second half they didn't. I saw this, just hold what you're saying, because I know you do want to say something, but I just saw this comment a minute ago. This is unfair. This is just really, really unfair. And again, I've sat on this stream pretty much now for 50 minutes and been pretty disparaging of the manager. This isn't crap. Whether he needs to go or not, there's a personal opinion, but he's not a shit manager. He's just not the level of a Pep Guardiola or a Mikel Arteta, but he's one of the best 30 managers in this country. That's still unbelievable standard. Yeah, it's like when people say that a League Two footballer is shit. They're still way better than 95% of the population. Yeah, it's nuts. And in the second half, we came back from 2-0 down against a team that could go on to win the Premier League this year, Champions League side. We came back from 2-0 down. We showed real resilience. We played really well in large parts of it. We kept the ball. We dominated parts of the second half. We actually dominated possession. We defended well. We kept Erling Haaland completely silent. You can't just put that at the door of Joe Rodon and Pascal Struijk and say, you guys had great games. It's nothing to do with the manager. Not when you're prepared to then slam the manager for everything that goes wrong that could be actually attributed to the players. Yeah, so you've got to be fair. And the only thing I ever call for the people that put comments in is that you're just balanced and fair. And that's not fair.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Where do you stand on managers admitting mistakes? Because that's one thing that's labelled against Farke. He never admits when he's wrong or made a mistake. And then I'm trying to think, well, when does a manager ever do that? But I know some managers will be like, oh, this is on me. Or, where if you're Daniel Farke, let's be honest, he's got an appalling Premier League record in terms of how many games he's won and lost. We know that. I think he's probably bottom of the list in terms of win percentage, but there's context to that, as we've discussed. But where are you on managers coming out and kind of owning mistakes? Do you think that is something they should do, or do you think it's this kind of, you need to have like a force field that kind of doesn't let anything in and, deflect it? Because, he will never, ever say that he made the wrong decision or something, will he? He's always very kind of, he tries to explain what's happened, but I think very rarely he admits a mistake. But where do you stand on that? I don't think a lot of managers would admit mistakes, really, do they?
I don't think there's a ground in which a manager can win, because I think if you do come out and say, well, it were all my fault, I think that wears thin real quick. I think you can do it once every now and again as an established manager that's really got roots with the fans, a Klopp, a Bielsa. Bielsa used to do that. He used to come out and say that from time to time, and the fans would buy into it because it would be at the right time. But I think if you just constantly are doing that, I think all you're doing then is you're asking for the fans to say, well, he would say that. He's only doing that to take heat off the players. So I think it's a real tricky one. Real tricky one.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get to some Farke comments then, Jay. So, Farke, we played one of the best sides in the world. If you have such a start after our recent results, it does something to the lads. You have to win set pieces here to succeed. Conceded from a corner, not happy with our pressing execution. First half, Next comment, open game in last minutes. Either team can win it. Foden with the decisive moment. Heartbreak for my players, but they should take lots of pride from the second half. Came here for points, so overall emotion is disappointment. Should take belief from this display. We did not have the passing angles in the first half to beat the City press. We wanted to defend their channel runs. The big chances they had were from channel runs. Wanted to defend this better with different players in these positions. And then Daniel Farker asked how he felt when the newly changed left flank was cut open inside 60 seconds. I cannot speak publicly because I would be banned for swearing. You ask yourself, what are we doing? If you dwell under it, you have no chance. Keep going, show resilience, which I think is fair enough. I think, entire Leeds fan base were absolutely fuming at that kind of moment. Daniel Farker on Donnarumma going down while Guardiola has a team talk. Everyone knows why he went down. It's the elephant in the room. It was obvious. You can speak about it. Within the rules, ask fourth official, do you want to do something? Our hands are tied, can't do anything. If we don't educate players in football what to do in fair play, bend rules to your advantage, fake injury for team talk, it's nothing I like. I'm sorry, I'm not aware. What happened there? Sorry?
So when Donnarumma went down for the injury, Man City had
when about what minute was that?
60 minutes.
Right. Okay.
I can't remember if it was before or after the second goal. I think it was before the second goal. Donnarumma went down feigning an injury, basically. Needed medical attention, was absolutely fine as soon as it then happened. My opinion on this, I think it's genius. Pep Guardiola basically got all of his team over. They were rejigging formation strategy. You could see all the players were super engaged, super switched on. You'll be able to find it on Twitter if you have a search for it, Browney.
Yeah.
The players were literally fully engaged in basically what looked like a tactical session. Now, if you're gonna create a problem for this, you need to ban that happening. Like the officials need to, if there's an injury happening on the bit, you're not allowed to go over for a drinks break when it's like a hot day. That's what it looked like. You know what I mean? It was like it was half time in between extra time, and they got like 2 minutes to have a converse together. I think while it's part of what can happen, they were out of control at the time. We were dominating the game at the period of time in which it happened. It gave them a real smart break, and it's within the rules of the game. The goalkeeper's down injured.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? I think it's smart. And if it were my team, I'd want them to do it as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Some comments from Guardiola as well. Foden's goal was a relief. Game should have been over, but Daniel changed the system after that, conceded, then gave away. Football is emotions at that point. And then he comments on the Donnarumma situation as well. He says, I didn't speak with Gigi. I told James to warm up. I don't know. I will ask Gigi. I would love to have timeouts, but if we did, the Premier League would fine us. So he's obviously denying it there. But
yeah, I mean, he's just basically saying, I really do like having them. I'm not going to take any responsibility for the fact that he's now feigning an injury. He's not going to accept the fact that he's feigning an injury, is he? Jesus Christ, they would get fined for that. But you can't police that. What do you do? Goalkeeper's injured. You can't take him off, can you? What do you go? Oh, right, you're off for a minute. You go in net. Goalie when? Like, it's genius, really. It's a perfect player to do it with because they can't come off in the same way that an outfield player can.
No.
The game is won and lost in moments like that. You know, the highest level is so high that they need to be able to kind of display that message. You go and watch the footage, Browney, after the stream, and you'll see how intensely the players are listening to the way that the structure is changing and the formation is going to change and what they're going to do. And it was right to do it because we were dominating the game at the time. The 5-3-2 completely gazumped them.
Yeah,
it really did. They were rattled. They were really rattled.
Yeah, absolutely. It was kind of reminiscent, that period of the game. You know, when we went 2-0 down to Man United and pulled it back, Rodrigo's goal, Rafinha banged it, it was suddenly back on, and unfortunately a similar end result there. So it leaves us, Jay, bottom three still. Burnley losing today as well, so they're just below us. West Ham got Liverpool tomorrow at home, and Forest, I think, are away to Brighton. Bit of an opportunity for both those teams to put a bit of daylight to Leeds. You would hope, though, that, because we need to stay in touch, obviously, with particularly those two, because above that, you talk about Newcastle and Liverpool. I know Fulham are on 14 points, but, when you start talking about Newcastle, we're never going to, gazump them. Where do you feel about where we're at, and, what's your kind of final thoughts on everything considered? I mean, what is that? I expected this were going to be a pretty simple stream. We've lost 5. Parker's gone, and it's we'll see what tomorrow brings. But I think, like we said, it's asked more questions than it's answered.
We're not going to see an instant creation of a gap overnight over 1, 2, 3 games. We're not. The teams that are all in and around us are going to carry on losing as well. Now, when you start getting to 6, 7, 8 games, then you're talking a different kettle of fish, and we do need to start looking at picking up points. Of course we do. But I would imagine, Fulham will probably lose away at Spurs. Who else? Wolves, I don't even think Wolves really matter. Burnley have lost today. West Ham, I mean, who knows with Liverpool? They're catching them at a perfect time. It's a real tricky one. They might win that. Forest have got Brighton at home, I think. Did you say?
Yeah, I think Brighton. Yeah, Brighton at home, actually.
Yeah. Tricky game, but I'm not really, if I'm honest with you, I'm not really counting Forest in it. I think I've been saying that I think Sunderland would drop. They go and beat Bournemouth 3-2 from 2-0 down today. When they saw them at 2-0, I was like, there, see, I told you so. And now I'm eating my words a little. I think Sunderland are probably safe now, if I'm honest. I think they've just got enough points on the board to be able to even limp over the line. I think Everton, Fulham, and West Ham are the 3 teams that we could really hope for. I think Everton will be fine personally, but I still think that there's a bit of a void in their squad. I think there's problems within that squad, and outside of the starting 11, I think they've got a problem. Fulham and West Ham are where we're looking, really. But I'm all right, mate. And again, I'm just taking each week as it comes. I fully expected a thumping this week, so the fact that we didn't get that and we actually had some hope is kind of nice. I'd love to know what's going to happen and just kind of get this plaster ripped off. But I know, I'm not going to be wrong with this. I know that the solution of changing the manager isn't going to make this look loads better. Yeah. So I'm just trying to kind of hold on to whatever hope that we've got of the way that it looks at the minute, because we're still in games that we're competitive in. It's not we're losing games, and that is awful, and we shouldn't.
We've got to turn it.
We do need to turn it into points, but we're not getting battered. We're not getting played off the pitch constantly, and we are competing with teams that are far, 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 far better than us.
It's a cruel game.
It is. It's a real tough one.
Today, if we'd have walked away with a point from the Etihad after being 2-0 down, and you're walking away with a 2-0 with a point and a new formation that just gives everybody a new spark of life, like you say, it gets the fans on board. It might just be worth doing it. So, like you say, when the fans go and see the team, we're doing that again. It might be worth doing it from that. And I just think that, we're just not getting anything at the minute. We're just not getting anything. I'm just kind of, I'm at a loss for it, because I just think, this is not a situation where the players are playing for the manager or anything like that. And to not get anything from these games, it's like the Aston Villa game last weekend, to walk away with no points from that game. It's really harsh. It's really harsh, and it's really brutal at the minute.
I know PSF has had comments. I just want to bring this one up, and I'm not going to go into back and forwards on the other ones, PSF, if I'm honest, because we know your agenda and you guys know where I am. I've been really open and honest with it, but for a team that's going to finish 17th or even 16th, right? They're going to lose 6 in 7. They're going to lose 7 in 8. They're going to lose 8 in 10. They're going to lose a lot of games. Any team that's finished 17th over the last 25 years of Premier League football have lost or have gone on runs of losing X amount of games. This is a perception problem. It's a perspective problem, not a Daniel Farke problem. We have to become more. We have to show more stomach with the fact that we're going to lose a lot of games.
Yeah.
As a mass fan base, it's a real problem. So that's all I want to say on that.
Yeah. And John says, I agree with Jason. Getting rid of Farker is not the answer, as there are no clear improvements out there that we can recruit. And I dare I say it, I think that's in the 49ers head as well. I mean, some of the names that are out there, I mean, it's, and whilst we're still turning up for the manager, do you really want to risk it for another Javi Gracia? Do you want to risk it for, that Muppet that went to Southampton? Is that what you want to do?
Again, the only people that will say things like he's the worst Premier League manager that's ever existed are only looking at a spreadsheet which he's got his points per games on, including a full season at Norwich in which they expected to finish 20th and they finished 20th.
Yeah.
They're not looking at it objectively with any context. We've had some horrific Premier League managers. If the fan base were behind this team and this manager with full throttle, I believe Daniel Farke could see us finish 17th. My gut instinct is, however, that the fans haven't got it behind him. If Bielsa was in this situation exactly right now, in season 1, we would be so passionate about it. Regardless of the football.
Well, season 2 was like that, wasn't it, with him in the Premier League? It was hard, wasn't it? We got humped, didn't we? So many times, but we were still bang behind him.
And we stuck behind it until it completely went to shit on the pitch. Because eventually it did. It was becoming hard to watch.
Yeah.
So I think, just to answer this one, risk what? I think we do risk any potential we have of surviving with the wrong appointment.
Yeah.
The problem is that we're not gonna, as a fan base, be behind it enough to make it work, because it is partly for us to do as well. The only chance that we have, I think, of getting the management change correct is if we go rogue. We go like complete left field, somebody that we've never heard of, and it just lands and it works. Because of Brendan Rodgers and Ange, it scares me to death. Ange Postecoglou scares me to death.
Gerrard. I mean,
Gerrard.
I'm looking at the betting odds now. Gary O'Neill, Rodgers, Postecoglou, Gerrard. Yeah, there's some outliers there. Maybe they can do this Bo Svensson character. I don't know. I mean, that might be something that works. I have no idea. Carlos Corberán is second in the list. I like Carlos, and I wanted him probably before Farke. But what's he done at this level? Is that a name? You get some outliers like Knutson, for example, might come in and be brilliant. Might be an absolute disaster. Yeah. So I don't know. I agree. I think it's if there was a special name there, or if there was, like you say, some outlier, then great. But it's really hard. My fear though is, Jay, is that this just rumbles on and on.
Yeah, I agree.
And then we sack him in February, March, and you might as well just have done it 4 months before, 3 months before. There's no point going on and on. Because we are losing games. We're not getting anything at the minute. We're in the bottom 3. We're behind the points per game. I would love to know what the conversations are going on at the minute, because we know there's a January transfer window around the corner. Who's preparing for that? Who's prepared? Because we're in December tomorrow, or the day after, whatever. Who is going to be preparing? If you're going to do something, do it.
Yeah, I agree.
West Ham, Forest got rid of their managers and got the next best ones in that we would take, in a heartbeat.
They did, but they also knew that they were able to attract them names and them managers. Yeah. That's the difference. I truly believe that you maybe would have even seen a decision made by now if that kind of name was available to us, but they're not. And this is something that the fans need to get their heads around. We're in the realms of Steven Gerrard with Gary McAllister basically running the team. That's the reality, Brownie. The manager that we sacked in League One that weren't good enough for League One, he would be basically running our tactical sessions. I saw just quickly. I saw a post on Twitter the other day from Oscar Marriott, and it really irritated me, because he were basically setting a narrative around Carlos Corberán, defending Carlos Corberán. And it was everything, he's faced 8 of the top 10 in the La Liga. This reason, all as to why he would be a good replacement option for Daniel Farke. Well, you can do that with any manager. You can do that with Daniel Farke if you want it. If your agenda and bias is as such, you can make any kind of context fit. your narrative. Carlos Corberan's doing terrible. He's doing terrible. He's got no Premier League experience. Why would he be the automatic solution as to being better than Daniel Farke?
If he hadn't worked with Bielsa, that's it. The only reason why the Corberan thing exists is because he worked with Bielsa. That is literally it. That's literally 100%. It. If you were talking about some guy who was at West Brom, you want to talk about what? A Huddersfield manager? What? No, lost with Huddersfield in the playoff final. No, I don't want that.
People are too. I'm not going to say thick because it's not been thick. They don't know. They're not educated enough to know that Carlos Corberan plays nothing like Marcelo. They think that his style of football is like Bielsa's. It's not. It's pragmatic, boring, defensive football, of which I think it's got a place, by the way. I think Carlos Corberan is a decent manager. I actually quite like him. But he's like Farke. His football looks like Farke's.
I want to talk about this comment as well, because I actually did think about this as well. Johnny says it also, if we keep Farke, we're ready made to get promoted again should we need to. When the new PSR rules come in, it will help us a little more. Do you know what, Jay? I did actually find myself when I saw Joffrey banging in another 90-odd minute winner for Hull. I was like, if we get relegated, do you keep Joffrey and make him a little bit of a mainstay in that championship team to lead another? My thoughts started to turn towards life back in the championship a little bit, and actually, if we keep Farke, is there anybody else that would have a better chance of
the fans would never accept it. The fans would never accept it. I agree with you, but if we were all on board with it, I'd be down for that, if I'm honest. Not that I want us to go down, of course I don't. I want us to stay up by the skin of his teeth on the last day of the season. I think that's as good as we can have it, if I'm honest. But yeah, there definitely is some credence to that, but it won't happen because the fans won't allow it. The fans just won't allow it.
No, exactly. Good stuff. All right. Well, we'll leave it there, Jay. Another, what can you say, roller coaster watching this football club.
We move, mate. We move.
And we've got to do it even quicker now. Chelsea midweek Wednesday. So we'll be back for our thoughts as well at some point post Chelsea game. And then it's Liverpool next weekend. Thank you to everybody who got the comments in this afternoon. If you've not done it already, if you can like the video and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well, really helps us out. And myself and Jay, we will be back again soon. I've been Stephen Brown with me, Jason Booker. Jason, thank you, mate.
Thank you, mate.
And we will speak to you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.